So we have a lot of the equipment out that we would ever use on a car accident or otherwise, but still some guys haven't seen these lights. Do this, it's a little easier, but they're all battery operated. They're just run off of like a drill battery. When this is sitting inside of the vehicle, basically in storage mode, take off the battery and put a new one in. It's just like a drill. So just press in the 2 release buttons, slide it in or slide it out. The extra batteries are sitting on the tool or on the table next to the truck, but there is a battery indicator light on all the batteries. So you just press the button and it'll show the charge, whether it's full, half, quarter, or empty. To set this one up, there's just a release here, push it, put it in the tripod. There's 2 releases on this side. You can open those up and then push this up. Lock them back in. And then the button is right here for power. There's 3 different settings. So there's high, medium, and low, and then off. But they do a pretty good job in the dark. And then this is the same thing, just a portable version. So same thing, you can take off the battery, put in a new one.
Are those batteries interchangeable?
Sorry?
Are those batteries interchangeable?
Yeah, you can use any. They come in 5 amp, 6 amp, 9 amp, 12 amp.
But between those 2 units, they're interchangeable?
Yep, exactly. Anything Milwaukee.
How long will the battery last with that on?
This here, what size is this one? It's a 9 amp, so 6 to 8 hours. Like I use them for work, and I have a 12 amp battery that'll run in 10 hours on just this light. And then same thing on this. It's just got a power button to turn it on. And then I don't know if you can see this, but there's 4 on the outside, and then there's a mode button, and that lights up the inside. Or you can do both. I don't know if you can see that. So it's basically spotlight. Basically, this one here is probably just only good for like right in front of you, and then this is just like a flood, basically. If you can see that, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but on off, that's about it. So, I believe there's a charger in the truck, in the pickup, and then the charger's on the table over here with a couple extra batteries. So that's it. And then one nice thing about switching to something like this, I know we've talked about getting like a new Sawzall. If we switch to battery, you can use all these batteries on every Milwaukee tool. So Sawzall, drills, everything that you could think of. Chainsaws as well. They have battery operated chainsaws, which might not be a bad thing. So anyway, pretty easy. Cool. The next newest things that we probably have is the stop slow sign. So this one, in comparison to just like your standard metal one that we have, there's buttons on the front, and then on the back you do have to turn them on both sides. So you have to turn it to flash or solid or off. So you can turn them both on, and then at night it's nice and illuminated. And then, so these are on when you're holding them up, and then once you put it down, they shut off, save the battery. So it's off now, like for storage or whatever, and then the second you pick it back up, start blinking again. And then you can turn them back off. And then for the batteries, they're just on the bottom. Take it out. It is rechargeable. So you can't like just put in some AA's and have it work. There's a cover on the bottom that you open up, and then it just charges with like a USB or like a micro charger right on the bottom. Hopefully we still have those. But anyway, they should last, for the amount that we use them, they should last quite a while.
My
question would be the shelf life of the battery just sitting there. Is it degrade, you know, do we need to?
Shouldn't be because it's not on and it's not on a charger. So, should last quite a while. And then I guess the next newest thing would be the cones. So we have there's 3 cones on the trailer. I believe there's a couple in 11 and then there's a couple in 22. They all have their own individual bag for carrying. Probably the easiest thing to do, open it up. On the bottom there's 2 lights. You can take those out. I don't remember how to take the bottom off. Right here on the bottom, this unscrews. I can open the phone up. And then on the light, just twists open. 2 AAA batteries. And there's a little power button on the bottom. It turns on, I believe it's flash and solid, and then off again. Stick that into here. Wrong way. And then same thing on the top. You can turn it on, stick it in there, and then the cones will light up. I think what I recommend if you're on a scene, just throw the bag right under the cone. Otherwise you might lose it. But pretty self-explanatory, and then it's just like an accordion, so just breaks down. Put it back in the bag and you're done. Everyone's used the airbags. There's 3 different sizes. Big, medium, big, small, and extra small, I would think. One important thing about the airbags is the plywood. So there's plywood and there's bigger chunks of plywood in the trailer as well. But it's always a good idea to use it any way you can. So whether it's underneath and over the top, it just helps protect the bag from whatever you're trying to lift. Frame of a rusty truck, anything like that. So use these whenever you can. They're on the trailer by the cribbing. Basically, you got your regulator here. One end of the regulator has the female adapters for the air hoses. The other end of the regulator has the threaded end that goes into the bottle. You can do 2 different things at a time with this. Maybe. Hook up your quick connect to the regulator and then one to the airbag, and then you can have a second one set up on the additional airbag if you need it. So after those are set up, then you make sure you got that threaded on, and then you'd open up your air bottle, and then I believe this opens up the air to this regulator to do the plus or minus on the airbags. So pretty self-explanatory. You should be able to just hook it up and then hit the plus button, and that's going to blow up the airbag. You can switch over to the other side if you need to. It's going to blow up that one. does anyone know, can you overfill these?
With those new high pressure tanks, maybe, I don't know.
Okay. So you want to be careful. I mean, obviously you can see that one's pretty close to maxed out, if not maxed out. It's not gonna, you can pump more in there, but what are you gonna gain? 1/8 of an inch? So it's not really gonna help or hurt you at that point, and then you're just gonna kind of want to make sure not to overfill them and actually pop the bladder. So, but as you can see, I mean, this one here, it's got probably almost a foot of lift on it. So you get that. And then important thing about when you're lifting, as you're lifting, you're going to want to make sure you add cribbing. If something was to happen where the bag popped or the pressure released, you're going to want to add cribbing. Always think of Jenga. So as you're stacking it, you're not just going to want to stack it like this. You're going to get more support out of it and be able to hold more weight if you do it that way. So, and then we do have the auto cribs. Those are basically just tension locked, so you can open them up as far as you need them, and then as pressure's on them, it won't release. So we have the big ones, and then we have the little ones there. They function the same, just different sizes. So, and then after you have them up, there's a release. You kind of got to lift it and then slide it back. And then on the top, there's the lock. So you can lock it currently when it's flat, and I think you can lock it when it's up too, correct? Nope. It's just for storage, the lock. So that's it for that. Any questions there?
Those airbags deflate equally. Big one is as flat as the small one.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
When they're
Like,
deflated.
oh yeah, they're the same.
Get them into a situation, they're equal.
Right.
Why would you ever use the small one?
Depending on what you're going up against. If
If you don't have room to get the big one in there,
Square wise?
square wise, or what you're actually lifting. So, if you're lifting surface area, say you're lifting a little two-door Honda Civic, and the frame's only this wide, you have a greater, once you blow this up, if you're off center,
Okay, yep.
if you roll it, you might have an issue there. Whereas that one, I don't know, it's all situational. I mean, I think I'd always default to this one, just because, look at how much lift you're getting out of this versus this.
Right, when it's smaller, when
Yeah.
you get maxed out and you realize you're not high enough.
Yeah, but again, then you just add cribbing, and you take the cribbing out. You can put more cribbing on, put your sheeting on,
Yep.
put your bag down again on here, and keep lifting.
you can stack the airbags too if you put a plate between them.
Yep.
We lifted I don't know what it was, 50-ton backhoe down a hurdle one time. Nothing to it, it raised it right up in the air.
We got lots
So-
of these blocks on the trailer.
Yeah, and like Dave said, you could stack them if you had to. But the most important thing is just to make sure you have
Yep.
a piece of sheeting between and on top. I would always want to have one on top. All right, so if you guys can see that now, it's loose, but it's hitting the frame. So now if you add air back to that,
Jay, you're coming in.
it'll follow the frame. Keep going.
Yeah, the bag's pretty.
You're good. A little more. So it'll follow that, and then as he brings the air back down, it'll lock that into place. So in that little bit there, what, 2 or 3 teeth, I think it moved. So.
I'll let her down now.
Okay,
So,
I'll let her down.
in this situation, I mean, it's just really heavy, so you probably have to crib it a couple times and keep lifting it up. You guys got the right idea. Everything we have, I mean, here is fairly simple to run. In the heat of the moment, that's when stuff gets missed, or you wonder why something doesn't work. It's just because you missed one little thing. So on this machine here, on the top, gas fill, there's a open and closed for on and off for the fuel. It should always be set to off in storage. It's just a simple quarter turn basically. So you're gonna turn that from off to on. That's gonna get fuel into the machine. As far as running it goes, just like any standard other engine we have, there's a on-off switch right here. So we have your engine to on, choke, and then should just be able to pull start it. The throttle button here is basically, it's like a high idle or like an auto idle. So right here it's set to turtle rabbit, so the machine will idle up and down as you're using it or not using it, and then you can set it much like a generator. You can set it to just high idle, so it's just always going to be running on high. We pretty much always have it set on auto throttle. So turn it to on, set the choke, and pull it. It'll rev up and then it'll idle down as it warms up. For the sake of this right away, we'll set up the hoses without the engine running so you can hear it. But so it's got, they're basically just, it's a quick release. So it's got the diagram on it. Turn it this way, push it in, that opens it up. Same thing on this side, that'll open it up. And then these are just quick connects. So that's on there, you're good. Same thing with the other one, so you have the ability to run 2 tools at once. So those are connected. I believe they have, these hoses do have hydraulic fluid in them. That's what it runs on.
I love that there's no return line, that it's all incorporated
Yep,
in one.
yep, it all just does one thing. So you have the ability to hook up 2 different tools at the same time and run those tools almost simultaneously. And all the tools operate the same. We can fire it up. Has anyone not done these?
Yeah, I have not done that.
Okay, go ahead. So you can grab one and someone can grab the other, but basically handle, and then the black handle on the back is the throttle.
It should say on.
That's the controls. It has right on the top, so it has close and open. So they all operate the same. Hold on to the handle, hold on to the controls, and they just twist. Same thing with this one. And
This thing weighs about 30 pounds.
yep, so that one there is the spreader, so we can fire this back up. That's closed. that's the spreader there, open and close, and then that's the cutter. Just a giant scissors.
Watch.
And then you can swap these out when it's running. So you can take this. You can take this one off. And then same thing on this. This one's just a ram. Just have open and close. Couple seconds we looked at those. I mean, obviously you can figure out what each of these will do. But cutter, you're going to use that for cutting frames. Open doors, anything like that. Spreader, you can obviously use that to lift the dash or open a door up. If the door is pinned shut, you can get that in between the opening and wedge the door open. Excuse me. And then the ram, same thing. You can use that to lift the dash or shove stuff out of the way.
Thicker metal will that cut?
It'll cut a lot of.
Well, there's just, let me tell you a story. We bought this arrangement, and the next year they came out with a much better model. So this one, this setup is not really made for cutting the boron pillars in some cars. But if you hold that there for 10 seconds, the common mistake is people get it and it stops, so they think it isn't gonna cut it, you back off. Hold it there for 10 seconds, count 10 seconds, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003.
Kind of
It takes
bounce.
longer than you think it does. And a lot of times it will snap it, so don't give up right away. The pressure difference between this and the next model newer is quite different, but this is good, it can be used, but you gotta be patient with it. Let it hold against that metal for a while.
Yeah, and they, you know, like this machine here is essentially brand new. I mean, we haven't used it a whole lot. Someday down the road, if this stuff's ever replaced, they make machines now that run off of those batteries that cut more than this does.
That's what they were showing out.
And they're lighter. They're easier to handle.
Yeah, I think they had some of those when we went to some of those classes at WFTC when they had the.
Yeah.
You don't have this unit to lug around, you don't have the hoses.
Right. Nothing.
Self-contained unit.
Yeah.
Anything that's hoseless is the last
Hydraulic,
one.
hydraulic.
Yeah, and I don't know how they make those things with the gears in them to make them do what they do, but they're pretty impressive. And again, it's this identical battery to what we're using for our flashlights. So these are the most important thing that we have on the scene. So when you're messing with the tools, make sure the tools are away from the hoses. You're not laying the tools on the hoses when you're not working with it, because if these hoses break, then we don't get to play with the tools. Yeah, so just like everything we have, we just have to take care of it. So all the stuff that we just demonstrated, all of that is in the trailer. So the first thing when you come in the back is going to be the mulcher machine, your jaws and all the tools related. So machines here, there is gas in this bucket that is labeled for the Hamatro machine. So you do have to use that specific gas and this specific engine oil, which is here. And then you have your cutter, spreader, and the ram, and then the hoses. So for both orange and blue, there's a short section and there's a long section, and they can be joined together to make a longer section. So basically just like an air hose, essentially. The cribbing units are here, so the large auto cribs and then the smaller ones, the yellow ones. The portable lights are sitting just right here on the floor. And then all of the power lights are here if we ever need to use those. Basically, those are just electric. Take them out, plug them in, and you're good. Up in front, right inside the door, is the stop slow signs sitting behind the toolbox. So there's the power ones, and then there's the backup, just the older metal style if we need those. And then we have the cones that we're messing with. They're just sitting in the orange bag on the floor. And then everything for the cribbing. Cribbing is here. Bag of hoses for the airbags are here with the air bottles that you would need to do that. And then all of the airbags and the plywood sheeting is sitting here on the shelf. We went over just now is like 25% of what's in this trailer. And I don't know when the last time you guys have actually looked at like all the tools that this thing has to offer, but there's a lot in here. So, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to just walk through and look and see what there is. I mean, there's something in here. I don't even know what it's for. I don't know if anyone else knows what it's for, but I just saw this. I got no clue what this is. It says Homaltro on it, but I got nothing.
I knew it one time, but I don't remember now.
I think it's just another sort of cribbing thing.
It's,
Ram support, it says on it. So you put the ram in these different positions.
So you throw that in the door frame or something?
Wherever.
Maybe it's around the ground.
whatever it is, it sure is nice.